An invisible ritual is unfolding around you, a meticulous, calculated process where someone is shaping your capacity to accept the unacceptable. The sadistic narcissist is not an impulsive predator. He is an architect of suffering, a sculptor of submission. And you, without realizing it, may be conditioned to become his masterpiece. Carl Jung warned us about the projected shadow, about how some human beings transfer their inner darkness onto others, forcing them to carry the weight of a pain that isn't theirs. But Jung did not foresee the modern sophistication of this transfer. He did not anticipate how manipulation would evolve into a precise science, where every movement is calculated to erode your natural resistance to abuse. Today, you will discover how this conditioning works, how someone programs you to accept suffering as your destiny, and more importantly, you will learn to recognize when you are being sculpted before it's too late. Because there is a difference between those who suffer by chance and those who have been systematically conditioned to suffer. But what Jung discovered about the manipulation of reality completely changes how we recognize our own vulnerability to these conditioning processes. Look back. Think about that relationship that started like a fairy tale and ended as a nightmare. Do you remember how you came to accept behaviors that, at first, would have been unacceptable? Do you remember how your tolerance for disrespect gradually increased until you didn't even notice anymore when you were being mistreated? This didn't happen by chance. You were conditioned. How many times did you question yourself? Am I overreacting? How many times did you minimize a humiliation because he was having a tough day? How many times did you accept crumbs of affection after a storm of cruelty, even feeling grateful for them? While you doubted your own perception, someone was rewriting your reality. While you tried to be understanding and patient, your natural capacity for self-defense was being systematically dismantled. Yourself, your true essence, always knew something was wrong, but your conscious mind was being trained to silence these internal alarms. You learned to distrust your own intuition and to trust the version of reality the manipulator offered. While you accepted his explanations for the cruelty, you were being molded. While you blamed yourself for his explosive reactions, you were being sculpted to accept the unacceptable. Do you recognize this pattern? Do you recognize this feeling of having been gradually broken down until you accepted crumbs where you deserved feasts? It's because you were the target of this conditioning process. And today, you will understand exactly how it works and how to interrupt it before it completes its work. The sadistic narcissist operates like a perverse sculptor of the human psyche. He doesn't directly attack your self-esteem. That would be too obvious, too aggressive. Instead, he erodes it like water erodes stone, drop by drop, so subtly that you don't even notice the process happening. Jung referred to this as a projected power complex. The sadistic narcissist projects his need for absolute control through the systematic manipulation of the victim's reality. He needs you to doubt yourself so that he can become your sole source of truth. Imagine a vampire who doesn't drain blood, but drains confidence. Every interaction is designed to leave you a little more dependent on his approval, a little more confused about what is real, a little more willing to accept the unacceptable. The process works through what we call gradual conditioning of tolerance. Like a dealer progressively increasing the drug dose, the sadistic narcissist progressively increases the level of abuse you accept as normal. Your natural resistance is broken down into small pieces, until you don't even remember what it was like to have healthy boundaries. This is the sadistic genius of the process. He convinces you that you are choosing to accept suffering, when in reality, you have been methodically programmed for it. Now let's unmask the first 3 phases of this conditioning ritual. Each phase is a step that leads you deeper into the labyrinth of programmed submission. First phase, the golden pedestal. This is the love-bombing phase, but with surgical precision. The sadistic narcissist doesn't just bombard you with love. He studies your deepest emotional needs and satisfies them in an intoxicating way. He becomes everything you ever dreamed of in a partner. But here's the trick. He's creating an addictive memory, an impossible-to-maintain reference standard. You will forever compare all future moments to this initial phase. He plants in you the seed of emotional addiction. Second phase, the first cracks. Subtly, he begins to introduce small doses of poison into the paradise he built. A criticism disguised as a joke, a moment of unexplained coldness, an innocent comparison with someone else. These are not outbursts of anger. They are scientific tests of your limits. He is mapping exactly how much abuse you accept before you react. And when you react, he makes you feel dramatic, oversensitive, or crazy. Third phase. The entrenched confusion. Now he unpredictably alternates between the love of the first phase and the cruelty of the second. You never know which version of him you will encounter. This creates a state of hypervigilance where you are constantly trying to guess his mood, modifying your behavior to avoid his outbursts. You start to walk on eggshells in your own life. Your mental energy is constantly drained in an attempt to decipher and control his reactions. At this point, your capacity for clear perception is already compromised. You are so focused on avoiding his anger that you forget to question if his anger is justifiable. Continuing the mapping of this perverse ritual, we arrive at the 3 final phases of conditioning. These are the most dangerous because they occur when your resistance has already been significantly reduced by the first 3 phases. Fourth phase, subtle isolation. He doesn't forbid you from seeing your friends. That would be too obvious. Instead, he makes every social gathering a minefield. He starts arguments before you go out, making you cancel to resolve the conflict. He criticizes your friends in a seemingly reasonable way, planting seeds of doubt about the people who love you. He makes you feel guilty for abandoning him when you want to spend time with others. Gradually, you stop making social plans because it's easier to avoid the drama. You are being cut off from your support network without even realizing it. Fifth phase, total inversion. This is the most destructive phase. Now, any problem in the relationship is your fault. He explodes because you provoked him. He cheats because you didn't make him feel loved. He humiliates you because you need to learn. He has managed to flip the script in such a way that you believe you are getting what you deserve. Your mind, already exhausted by the previous phases, accepts this distorted logic because it seems to offer some control. If it's your fault, then you can fix it. Sixth phase, complete normalization. This is the ultimate goal of the process. You now accept levels of disrespect, humiliation, and emotional abuse that would have been unthinkable at the beginning of the relationship. More than accept, you defend them. You explain to concerned friends why he isn't like that. You minimize the severity to yourself. You have developed emotional Stockholm syndrome, where you protect your abuser because your identity is now intrinsically linked to survival within this toxic dynamic. At this point, the sadistic narcissist has achieved what he wanted. He has transformed you into an extension of his will, an object that exists to satisfy his sadistic needs. While you believe that this is the best version of love you can aspire to, the ritual is complete. You have been conditioned, but recognizing the process is the first step to undo it. Now that you have mapped the territory of manipulation, it's time to reclaim your power of navigation. Recognizing the process is only the first step. You need concrete tools to undo the conditioning and rebuild your capacity for discernment. Start with the temporal mirror exercise. Grab a journal and divide a page into 6 columns, one for each phase we have just described. Now, honestly map a past or current relationship through these phases. At what moment did you start to doubt your own perception? At what point did you start to accept behaviors that initially bothered you? This exercise is not to judge you. It is to regain your clarity of vision. Practice primary intuition validation. Every time you feel that discomfort in your gut, that inner voice whispering something is wrong, stop and write down, "My intuition is alerting me to X." Don't analyze whether it's right or wrong, just record it. The sadistic narcissist trained you to distrust that voice. Now you will retrain it to trust it again. Implement the external reality protocol. Choose 2 trusted people in your life and establish a pact of honesty with them. When you are confused about a relational situation, tell them exactly what happened, without editorializing, without explaining the other person's reasons for their behavior. Just the facts. And then truly listen to what they have to say. The sadistic narcissist relies on your isolation to maintain the distortion of reality. Rebuild your primary boundaries through the daily practice of a gentle but firm no. Start small. No to invitations that don't interest you. No to requests that overwhelm you. No to behaviors that make you uncomfortable. Your boundary-setting muscle has atrophied during the conditioning process. It needs to be strengthened again, repetition by repetition. The journey of unconditioning from suffering is a journey back to your inner sovereignty. It's not quick, but it is possible. You are no longer the same person who began to engage with this content. Now you know the ritual. You can recognize when someone is trying to sculpt you into accepting suffering. You can no longer unsee the conditioning process, and that is your most powerful shield. You are now the guardian of your own reality. You are no longer the clay in the hands of the sadistic sculptor. You are the artist of your own liberation. You have reclaimed the right to trust your own perception, to validate your own experience, to protect your own essence. Every time you recognize an attempt to erode your boundaries, you are exercising your newly reclaimed sovereignty. Every time you validate your intuition instead of dismissing it, you are undoing years of conditioning. Every time you choose your own version of reality instead of the version offered by a manipulator, you are declaring your emotional independence. Comment which of the 6 phases most alerted you to patterns in your own experience. Like if you felt the courage to recognize moments when you were conditioned to accept the unacceptable. Subscribe to continue this journey of awakening and protection against the manipulations that try to sculpt our tolerance for suffering. You were not born to be sculpted by another's hands. You were born to be the sculptor of your own sovereign existence. The conditioning for suffering is undone. The journey to emotional freedom has just begun. Awaken, protect yourself, liberate yourself.